Good day and welcome to another episode of Schoolboy Rugby Bonanza, where we, of course, talk Schoolboy Rugby, and once again, Schoolboy Rugby.
Hmm.
As always, we have the founder of Schoolboy Rugby, the legend himself, Mr. Louis van Kopenhagen. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Steve. I'm very well. I'm happy to be here as always. It's always a good show. And once again, it's going to be a jam-packed show. So
Oh, yes.
I
And
think,
I would love I would love to start by saying what an amazing Wildeklawer Tournament we've had. It was absolutely incredible. Every single match was competitive. It was jam-packed, and a heck of a lot of the matches was decided in the final seconds of the match.
yeah,
And what an amazing game to end off. And of
yeah,
course, we will talk about all those games
yeah.
and so much more. The other tournaments that also took place in today's episodes. It was absolutely incredible. And I can tell you, schoolboy rugby in South Africa is alive and well, and the depth
Oh, yes.
is
And
just
yeah, I agree. So we are very, very fortunate to be able to have schoolboy rugby at such a level. Um, as you said,
yeah.
the Wildeklawer, um, I think the Wildeklawer just, except for a few games, most of the games were quite close, that you really
Oh
sat
yes.
on the edge of your seat, which this is the kind of rugby that you want to see, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was really truly amazing. And it's amazing to see that we're now at a stage where 10, at least 10 to 12 to 13 teams are absolutely um, sweating it out for that number one spot
Mm.
and for the top five spots. It is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And if you look at the rankings now, there's a couple of surprises, but we will also look at the rankings and so much more.
Yes.
But let's jump off and let's have a look at the Wildeklawer Tournament, starting
Right.
with day one.
Yeah, this is day one. So only a couple of games.
Yeah,
So Nikomalan, Yahya Jansen, 31-24. Diamantveld Queens College, 40-29. And now look at this one.
yeah,
Paul Roos, Garsfontein. Now, I watched this game, right? Once I finished with all my other things, I was able to watch this game. Steve, it was mouth-watering. And um, Garsfontein, in the beginning, they capitalized on some of the silly mistakes, um, uncharacteristic mistakes that Paul Roos made in the beginning of
yeah.
the match. They really capitalized, and everyone thought, "Oh, look, Garsfontein is going to win this one." And at the end, Paul Roos clawed their way back. They grinded it out. And some people might think or say that it wasn't very beautiful rugby, but they knew what they needed to do in order to pull this one through. So,
Yeah, it
yeah,
just shows you the depth of rugby. Garsfontein, of course, as we always have said now so many times, they're the defending World Trophy champions. And if you can remember in the very first episode, if you look at where Garsfontein started, they only were established in 1988. So they're still a young school in
yeah,
comparison to Paul Roos that was established in the 1860s, 1870s. And look at where Garsfontein is now. They are really, really pushing now for a top five position in South African schoolboy rugby.
yeah.
So that was an incredible match. And Garsfontein are definitely up with the best.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, they're going to be overwhelming favorites to win the World Trophy again this year.
I think so too. I think if they keep on going the way they do, I am sure they will reach the final and probably. there's a 50-50 chance that they will take the Noordveld trophy again. So, but I think they have the ability to get through to the finals again.
Oh yes, yeah, no, from in my book, never mind the finals. In my book, they're overwhelming favorites to win the World Trophy. Right, let's have a look at day two.
So this was an interesting day. Wildeklawer Durbanville 22-21. Sure, sure. Then Monument 41, Durban High School 27, Stellenberg, Maritzburg College. Now, this is an interesting result because I was also able to watch this game, especially the second half, after
Yes.
we came back from Pretoria. And Maritzburg College, they wanted to play. And I thought maybe we might see an upset. So, but Stellenberg pulled this one through. Next one, Oakdale 40, Westville 24.
That's a very good victory
Maybe,
for Oakdale College.
yeah,
You see in the
the
rankings also, Oakdale is now back in the top 10, if I'm not
yes,
mistaken. So they are definitely now making a surge.
yeah. And this is also a very interesting one. Jeppy 31, Boland Landbou 26.
Oh, yes.
And Paul Boys High 21, Northwood 18. Now, again, if you look at the winning margins of some of these schools, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So
Yeah.
that was also a game, nothing was given away. So,
Oh, yeah.
and then we come to an interesting one. Affis 55, Outeniqua 26. And to be very honest, I'm very happy that Affis is on the winning side again.
Yeah,
They,
they needed that win. And that
yeah,
of course, is also that also gave them the confidence for the day three. But we will talk about day three's
yeah, we will
result
talk about
later.
that in a
Yeah,
moment.
let me not give a spoiler, but it's great to see Affis back in winning ways. And then, of course, the game afterwards, Grey College
Yes,
also desperately needed a good Wildeklawer Tournament, and they started off with a bang
yes,
against Noordale 34-12.
yes. And this was an amazing game. I was able to watch this whole game, and to be very honest, I'm very happy that Grey College really put their stamp down on this one
Yeah,
because, as you said, they needed this. And again, their fullback, Magedzi, what a phenomenal player. If
huge
if
talent.
he gets the ball, he puts that back line alight. It is amazing. So then 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 we come to the next one. Paulgem 45, Helpmekaar 10.
If I can say something about the Helpmekaar, the thing what I like about Wildeklawer, they're a strong top 20 performer in schoolboy rugby, but the problem is they just don't have the depth to creep into the top 10. So they're always there around about between 15th and 20th. But they just don't have the depth to compete with the top schools. So whenever they compete against the top 5 schools, there's always a kind of a 20-point, 30-point gap between Helpmekaar and them. So they are good enough to stay consistent in the top 20, but just not enough, strong enough with the depth department to compete against your top 5 schools.
Yeah.
And that's understandable. If you look at the changes, we had an interview that was in the magazine with the second team coach, Sean Jackson, that Helpmekaar in my dad's days, my dad played for the first team in '69, Willie van Staden. They were a boys' school, a huge school in Gauteng, but then they changed from a boys' school into a private school. So, which means that the size of the school shrank considerably from a, let's say, 1,000 pupil school to I think now at 300, 400, and that makes a difference
Yeah.
with depth when you want to compete against the best. So, for the size of the school, they are doing incredible to be able to be a top 20 performer in schoolboy rugby in South Africa.
Yes, and also just to elaborate on Helpmekaar, whether they win, whether they lose, something that is very evident in all their games, they do not give up. They
No, they never
try
do.
to the very last second. And
They've
that
got a
is
lot of pride and
something,
passion. Oh, yes.
yeah, that is
They always
something
have.
I like about them, that they never give up. Um, so And we really hope that they can surge back into hopefully the top 10 at some stage. Um, that would be wonderful, I think, for schoolboy rugby in South Africa. So yeah, let's see, let's keep an eye on them and then see what happens, right?
Absolutely. And then, of course, Marlow finished off day two with a good victory against the Barbarians,
Yes.
38-17.
Yeah, the Northern Cape Barbarians. This was also a very interesting game. And actually, I'm going to say something, maybe people won't like this. I was actually vouching for the Barbarians, hoping that they would win because they played like the Barbarians we know that play against all your senior sides, the Springboks, the All Blacks, the Wallabies. They threw the ball around. Um, they didn't know each other very well before this tournament. So kudos to them for putting a team together and they just want to play. And
Absolutely.
actually, the tries they scored were actually very beautiful tries. I was like,
Yeah.
maybe there's a game on here, but unfortunately, Marlow got the better of them. But let's hope they will keep this team for the foreseeable future, and maybe in future they might do better, right?
Of course, yeah. Of course, the first 9 games were on the A field, the main field, and the
Mm.
Marlow against Northern Cape Barbarians was on the other field. So it
Yes.
wasn't part of the A field games. But yeah, that was also a very
Yeah.
nice game and a nice entertaining game to watch.
Yeah.
Going to day number 3, if you think day 2 was exciting, look at day 3. What incredible matches! And starting off with Stellenberg against Diamantveld. Diamantveld really gave Stellenberg a hell of a run for their money.
Mm. Yeah. And also remember, Diamantveld, they are the hosts of the Wildeklawer.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
was the opening game of day 3.
yeah. So very interesting that game. And then Helpmekaar 73, Queen's College 36.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
huge game. I watched that game. Day 2, I watched most of the games.
yes.
Helpmekaar was all over Queen's College, and it was a high-scoring game, but Helpmekaar absolutely dominated
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah. And then Outeniqua, Maritzburg College. 30-29. Oh my word. I'm very happy I didn't watch this game
Yeah,
because
from there, from Outeniqua, right, there was the 4 games in a row was nail-biting stuff. If
yeah.
you look at that, Outeniqua 30, Maritzburg College 29, and then Boland Landbou also snatched a victory from the death against Noordheuwel
Mm,
16-14. And then, if you thought your heart wasn't can now take a breather, the next game, Gasfontein, 33, Northwood 31. And if you feel you've left your heart pulse for the next game, I've got some bad news for you. It even got worse. Paul
yeah.
Roos against Oakdale, 15-13. It was like absolute
Yes.
amazing. Oakdale almost kept their reputation of giant slayers intact in
Yes.
that game.
Um, I saw this game, right? Because
Yeah.
this was I think this was on the Monday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is Monday's results.
Yes, because I finished with all my things, and then I was like, okay, right, rugby time. And I was just in time for this game. Steve, and I'm like, okay, Paul Roos, Oakdale. I thought, okay, let's see what's going to happen here. Oh, and and almost 3/4 through the game, Sarah looked at me and she's like, are you all right? I'm like, this is the kind of rugby we want to see. It
Yeah, it
was
was amazing.
amazing rugby from both teams, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was incredible.
And
The
then,
next game, Paul Gim against Durban High School.
yeah,
Convincing. Paul Gim was absolutely dominating that
yeah,
game.
every mistake Durban High made, they capitalized. They
Yeah,
were ruthless in every aspect of this game.
yeah. Paul Gim shown why they are in the top three in South African school rugby at this stage.
Yeah. And
Great College 52-14. That was also an incredible dominating performance by Great College. They just had too much fire and
yeah,
dynamite
yeah,
for JP to contain. It was just a one-sided match. But
yeah.
then the last match, of course, Affies versus Paul Boys, because the other games underneath is, of course, the games were on the B field. But the last game on the field, the A field, Affies against Paul Boys, what an incredible game to finish off the
Wow.
tournament.
Steve, I just need to say a few things about this, right?
Yes.
So let's first start off. It was an amazing game. Halftime 23-5 to Paul Boys. And even the commentators said they don't see Affies coming back from this one purely because of the season they had. And all I'm
Yeah.
sitting and I'm thinking, there's 35 minutes. A lot can happen, right? So, but to go with Paul Boys High at first. Now, their scrum half, Boys. I'm not sure what his name is, but his surname is Boys. What a dynamite behind the scrum. He marshaled the backline fantastic over these 3 days, right? Crisp passing, saw the gaps, put the guys into space. Phenomenal. And the fullback of Paul Boys High, also phenomenal. And the center pairing of Paul Boys High, wow. Defense, fantastic, right? Then we get to Affies. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. The fly half really marshaled the back line very well. But what they've done, they've took Joshua Gous from left wing, put him on fullback for this game. And they pushed over the right wing to the left wing. And what a phenomenal game he had. I think if it wasn't for him, Affies would have lost. Because every time he got the ball, he scored a try, a phenomenal try. And every time he got the ball, Affies surged close to the goal line. So this was really, and Affies' forwards, you could see that Paul Boys High had defensive structures in place for Affies' forwards. Affies' forwards struggled, but then in the second half, they realized this, and they just gave the ball to the back line, and it was a whole different story.
Yeah, they absolutely stole that match from Paul Boys in the last seconds. They took, and my heart goes out for Paul Boys. They absolutely gave it their all, and to lose a match like that is never nice. And you know, it's results like this that can change the outcome of the entire season. If you think about it, Paul Boys, and it also changed the outcome of the rankings, and you'll see considerably how it changed the outcome of the rankings also. And it's just that one last second, and you're talking about Paul Boys leading 3-3-5. It almost reminds me, dare I say it, about the Springboks versus Australia game.
Yep.
We were ahead 22-5 and then 38-22. Dare we not say too much about that game, but anyways, let's move on before we
No,
get a lot of angry Springbok supporters being reminded about that match again.
no, but you see, this is the thing that we need to understand, that even though it looks like a mountain they need to climb, but they still have 35 minutes to play. And
Yeah,
if they give it their all, they might lose, or, and as in this case, they just sneaked the victory, right? So,
absolutely.
and this is something a lot of people don't understand. They think, oh, 23-5, there's no way Afis is going to come back. What happened
Yeah,
in the second half?
incredible.
Paul Boys High, only 14 points and 20, let's see here, 35 points, right? In the second half.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was brilliant.
that shows you, do not ever underestimate anything on what it reflects on the scoreboard, right?
Absolutely. It was a great way to finish off the tournament. Of course, on the
Oh,
other field,
yes. Oh,
the other field, Waterkloof beating Westport 31-28. Rustenburg beating Marlow 38-22. Durbanville, good game against Ig Janssen 35-26. And then, of course, the final game on the B field, the Central Barbarians stopping off a good solid victory against the Northern Cape Barbarians 35-21. And then
yes.
all in all, I think the Wildeklawer Tournament of this year was an overwhelming success, once again showing the depth of rugby.
Yes. And, you know, you can just see everything went well. It was well structured. It was well organized. And I will, congratulate the organizers for putting up such a beautiful tournament, and also including the Central Barbarians and the Northern Cape Barbarians into this tournament to give these boys exposure to this kind of level of rugby.
Absolutely, absolutely right. What was the next tournament that we are looking at?
Right.
There was
So
three
this
tournaments.
is the Fairtree Sports Fest that was hosted at Menlo Park. We went on the Saturday, and this was purely for the smaller schools. But before we get into the results, I just want to take my hat off to Affis, because they sent their fifth team to play against the first teams of these schools. And
Brilliant.
when we spoke to the organizer and the first team coach of Menlo Park about this, and I asked him, why did you guys invite Affis? And he said, because they've got such a rich rugby culture, they are in Pretoria, and give the smaller guys the chance to play against, as he said, the big five, which I agree. And this is such a wonderful initiative. They had the rugby, they had the netball, and the hockey. So it was, and unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, it was overcast, so we didn't get burned to a crisp. But what a fantastic day we had. It was really phenomenal. So, on day one, so also with this tournament, they invited some of the first teams and under 15. So that is
Brilliant.
very. So day one, Rustenburg's under 15 versus Lichtbron, 41-7. The under 19s, the Volvo versus the Honor, 12-7. Menlo Park, 64. Tygerberg, 12.
Yeah, that's a huge win.
Yeah, that was a huge one. And then the day two, that's the day we went. So
Yes.
Wilfer Falls under 15, 32. Menlo Park, 29. Figartspark 26, Petersburg 6, Kempton Park 27, Dynamica 12, Abington. Now this is an interesting one. Abington 45, Rob Ferreira 0. Then Menlo Park versus Heidelberg 55-14. Now we come to the under 19s. So here we can see Offies. Now they just say Offies 15, but this was their 5th team. 37, Dr. Milan 20. But this was such a beautiful game to watch. And from the interviews or our analysis that we did, especially from our scout Vaughan, like he said, that even our senior teams can learn a thing or two of how these guys just handled the ball, keep the ball in play, and it was just phenomenal to see a 5th team of such a big school play rugby of that caliber. So that was very good. Menlo 15, Oeverval 27. That was also a very good game. Again, the guys from Oeverval, oh my word, they were in full cry, shouting to the ref, shouting to the players, and we just sat there and we're like, oh, trouble is coming.
And then Ligbrein 33 against Randburg 14. Randburg didn't have the best of tournaments. I saw the results, and I know that they didn't. The other day, they also didn't win the last game that they played. So they had a bit of a tough tournament.
Yes, but we stayed up until this game, right?
Yeah.
Because it was quite a long day, because they had the under 15s and the under 19s. So one under 15 game, one under 19 game on the A field. And I must tell you, both of us coming from Randburg, this was a bitter pill to swallow. But do not take anything away from Ligbron. They came to play, and they played well. Right?
Absolutely.
So it was, yes, it was a bitter pill to swallow, but it is what it is. And let's hope that Randburg can pick themselves up, and hopefully for the rest of the tournament or the rest of the season, they will have a better season.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, look at this one. Now, Marais-Viljoen 23, Merensky 22.
Yeah.
So I think that should have been a very good game. We were unfortunately on our way back to Johannesburg when that game was underway. Then Ben Forster 56, Dynamica 17.
Yeah.
And then Petersburg 47, Figartspark 12. So these were all the results that we got up until when we started with this recording. So, but all in all, also that was a very good tournament, and very well structured, very well planned, very well organized. So take your hats off to Menlo Park and Fairtree, who were the main sponsors for this tournament. I think and like they said as well, this is only their 2nd time to do this tournament. So
Brilliant.
They hope to keep this tournament going and hope to bring in all the small schools. And this is exactly what I wanted to hear. I was so happy when I heard this. So
absolutely,
definitely next year I will be there.
Absolutely. Of course, if you would like to see, we also have the videos available on our YouTube channel of the day that Louis and the scout, Mr. Vom, our legendary scout, were present together with the cameraman. So you can catch up on some of the action and some of the interviews and some of the updates on our YouTube channel, where the short videos will be available.
Yes.
And then, of course, for time purposes, we're just going to quickly run through another tournament that also took place. I will run through the results of that. And of course, at Grey High in Eastern Cape, they also had the festival where the top schools in Eastern Cape played at. Schools like Graham College was there. And there's even a couple of schools from the Western Cape, some strong teams. But let me quickly go through the results for time purposes. Kingswood, they started the day with Kingswood having a good, strong victory against St. Charles, 22-19. And then Graham College, of course, we had an interview with Graham College. Also a school of only 300 pupils, but incredibly competitive. They are in the top 50 at the moment in South African schoolboy rugby. And they had a great, strong victory against Kearsley College, one of your top schools in Durban, 35-33. Paddle Fillet, runaway victory against Framesbury, 50-14. Sachs against Selborne, 34-26. And then Rondebosch, also one of your old classic schools in the Western Cape, always in the top 20. Had a strong victory against Glenwood, 42-22.
Sure.
And then the host against Michael House. Michael House also a strong top 10, top 20 performer. And Grey High is, of course, your number one team in the Eastern Cape, 28-19. Hudson Park against Daniel Pienaar, 34-24. And look at this, poor St. Stithians. 74-0. Drosty against St. Stithians. And St. Stithians, of course, we all know is not a weak school.
No.
And that is an absolute thrashing result.
Yeah.
But that it happens. It happens. It's part of rugby. The less said, the better. Anyways, let's go on. Dale College are running off a good victory against Pearson, 32-15, and then Marley Invitation Side running the victories against Mere, 42-34, finishing off day one. Day two started off with a strong victory of Pearson College, 57-12 against Marley. Kingswood against St. Stithians, a bit of a better performance by St. Stithians this time, but still a convincing defeat for them, unfortunately, 38-20. Not the greatest of tournaments for St. Stithians. Sachs, 33-27 against a strong Kearsley team, of course, one of the top teams in Durban. Michael House, strong victory against St. Andrew College, one of your top schools in Eastern Cape. And Michael House, we all know, needs no introduction as regular top 20, 41-5. Drosty, 67-12 against Selborne. And then Grey High had a good tournament, had a good victory against Glenwood, 34-12. Rondebosch, also a strong, solid victory, 29-12 against Scares. Paddle Fillet running off the victors against Hudson Park, 28-15. And then Graham College had a good tournament also. Another strong performance, 43-17 against St. Charles. And then finishing off day two, Dale College, 34-26. So all in all, some great rugby played in all of these festivals. But now, the highlight of this episode for me. Let's have a look at the rankings and let's see how different the ranking is compared to last week. Still on the top, Louis, is Stellenberg. And they are really the fairy tale story of this year. Absolutely incredible to think that Stellenberg were nowhere.
Indeed.
And close to the top 10 last year. And look at where they are this year.
Yes.
Number one.
Wow.
Paddlechem is right behind them in second. And then, of course, Paul Roos, last year's champions, in third. And look at Garsfontein.
Yeah.
In the top five, not only in the top five, but just ahead of Great College and Affis in fourth position. Yes. Absolutely incredible. And this is the difference between a win and a last second defeat. Affis, last week they were in 16th. They now have jumped up 10 positions back into top 10 in 6th position. And Paul Boys High, last year's number 2 team, is now have dropped down to 7th. Oakdale, our giant killers of last year, is back in the top 10 in 8th. Hilton College, strong school from Durban, is also in the top 10. They were also last year in 9th. They're in the same position this year. And then look at Monument. They were 15th last week, jumped up 5 positions from 15th to 10th. Waterkloof, also one of your top giant teams in Pretoria, in 11th. Outeniqua, Number 12,
12.
Maritzburg College,
Yes.
also one of your top schools in Natal, in 13th. Westville, last year's 10th position, is now in 14th. Northwood, 15th. Durban High School, also making their way into the top 20 in 16th. JP, that had a bit of an up and down tournament in the Wildeklawer, they're still in 17th. Michael House, that was at the Great College Festival in 18th. And then, of course, as I said, Helmekar, a regular top 20 team. Last year finished in 17th. They now, at this stage, currently in 19th. And then Durbanville, as we all know, we also had an interview with Durbanville coach at the Noordside Tournament.
Yes.
Well-deserved 20th position.
Yeah.
RTS Broad Street, 21st. Wynberg is one of your top schools in the Cape, 22nd. Menlo Park, of course, they were also at the Noordside Tournament.
Yes.
They in 23rd. And they were also at the tournament that you went to, Louis, with won.
Yes.
They in 23rd. Rondebosch, of course, was at the Great Tournament. They in 24th. Grey High, of course, the host of the Great Tournament. As we said, is number 1 school in Eastern Cape, 25th. And then Kirsten College, as I said, one of your strong traditional giants of Natal rugby, 26. Graham College. I'm so impressed with Graham College. As I said, they only got about 300 to 350
Look
people.
at that, right?
And look at them. 27th.
Yes.
Absolutely incredible. Noordlevel 28. And then, of course, also the story of the past few years in South African schoolboy rugby, Swartkop.
Yes.
29th. They were last year as low as 62nd at one stage. And look at them in the top 50.
Isn't that amazing?
Incredible. And that is what schoolboy rugby is all about. It's about schools like this that is absolutely making their way into the top.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the host of the Wildeklawer Tournament, Diamantveld, finishing off top 50.
And then we've got your honorable mentions here. Sachs, Dale College, Kes. Now, this is an interesting one. Rustenburg, right?
Yeah.
Boland Lampo, RTS Middelburg, that needs no introduction. Parel Valley, and Nikomalang, that's also an interesting one. They are slowly creeping up on the rankings, which is very good to see. And then also last but not least.
Absolutely. What an amazing weekend we had of schoolboy rugby. It was absolutely some incredible rugby, and I cannot say it enough. Schoolboy rugby in South Africa is alive and well, and the depth is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
If you think about it, we've got a top 200 ranking. If you multiply 15 by 200, we're talking a year about 3,000 school. If it's 15, 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 schoolboy pupils. That's part of the South African schoolboy structure on the top structure. Huge depth. And we have to be realistic. Not all of them is going to make it into provincial structures.
No.
Not all of them is going to keep on playing rugby after school.
Right.
But a lot of them is going to make their way through into the structures. And it's going to be incredible to see the names like, as we already know, we spoke about Falun from Monument.
Yes.
We spoke about Mugetsi. Some names of the future that we need to keep an eye on. That is really, really going to make their way up. And this is where it all starts. It's at grassroots levels.
Yes.
Absolutely incredible.
100%, Steve. Because we always hear the international coaches talk about grassroots level. Unfortunately, grassroots level schoolboy rugby doesn't always, and especially your smaller schools, do not always get the exposure that they are supposed to, which this is why we started this whole journey. And
absolutely,
it is, and with all the rugby we are privileged to watch, it is such a shame you must wait a few days, keep on going the whole week to watch the next set of matches. It drives me absolutely up the wall. I just want to watch schoolboy rugby 7 days a week. That's what I want to do.
Absolutely. Once again, it finished off another incredible episode. Of course, next week we're gonna, besides talking about the games of the weekend that's gonna take place, we're also gonna have a special episode where we're gonna talk about the Noordvaal Tournament. The teams, the structure of this year's Noordvaal Tournament. So please join us next week. We will have an episode for the Noordvaal Tournament. As always, we would like to thank our members. It's incredible. We are getting closer and closer to 900 members. We are standing right now at the start of the recording. We were standing at 875 members on Facebook.
Wow.
Absolutely phenomenal to see the growth. We are rounding. We can almost see the 1,000 members, our first 1,000 members on our Facebook group. If you haven't joined yet, please join it's underneath Global School Rugby Bonanza, our Facebook group, as well as our YouTube channel, Global School Rugby Bonanza.
Yes.
We are also got various other platforms. We've got a WhatsApp channel underneath Schoolboy Rugby Bonanza, as well as a TikTok channel, Schoolboy Rugby Bonanza, and then we also have an Instagram channel, Schoolboy Rugby Bonanza. And if that's not enough, we also have an online magazine, Schoolboy Rugby Bonanza, that's also available. If you would like to know the link, please go look on our Facebook channel. In the featured section, all of our episodes that we've already recorded, we've already done 20 to 21 episodes, are available there, as well as the link of our YouTube channel, as well as the links for our online magazine that's out every single month. Of course, as always, we would like to thank not only the members, but we also would like to thank the people involved. Louis' beloved wife, Sarah. She is heavily involved with the magazine and the layout. Without her, I don't know where we would have been. And she's also keeping our Schoolboy Bonanza, Mr. Louis, on his toes, making sure he doesn't make any mistakes and he doesn't mess up. But she's doing an incredible work, and we would like to thank Sarah for her hard work. Yeah. Of course, our scout, Mr. Von. We would like to thank him. He has absolutely grown into his own. He's not only our scout, he's also one of our presenters at the Rugby Days, doing an incredible job. Yeah. Our cameraman, Brian Dudley, also always available. Thank you so much. And then, of course, our legendary old-school journalist, Mr. Arno Botha, always helping us with most of our interviews. And then, of course, with the magazine, he's always available. And then, of course, we would also like to thank our fellow leader, Elaine Hogan from Ireland, that's helping us promoting Schoolboy Rugby in Ireland and also promoting Global School Rugby Bonanza. And then, of course, as I said, we would like to close off thanking our members. Thank you so much for being part of the Global School Rugby Bonanza Maniacs. Long may Schoolboy Rugby continue. Long may Global School Rugby continue. Yes. And of course, thank you so much for joining in today's episode.
Yes.
It is well known. And then, of course, finally, the last but not the least, I would like to thank our top contributors. Christian Schutte. I'm thinking of the Janse van Rensburg boys, always helping us and always been available. Giving us inputs and commentary and so on. And then, of course, one of our legendary contributors, Mr. Dave Brown, all the way from England. Thank you so much for your contribution. It's well appreciated.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it from my side. Yes. Louis, thank you so much for again.
Thank you for another packed episode. We'll see you in the next one.
From our side, until next time, it's goodbye.